The Celtics injury report has been relatively clean to start the 25-26 season, but now our first pretty solid-sized injury of the season comes with Neemias Queta suffering a left ankle sprain against the Orlando Magic. It was early on in the first quarter. He had collided with Anthony Black, got called for a foul, and then immediately limped to the locker room and could miss some time here for the Boston Celtics. And I'm telling you right now, that is bad news considering the impact that Neemias Queta has made so far this season. So I think all Green Teamers should agree that Neemias Queta should be coming back healthy 100% ASAP. If you want that to happen, if you want Neemias Queta to be healthy when he comes back to this lineup, go down below and manifest it. Hit that thumbs up icon and send the good vibes over to number 88. Because he started pretty strong in that Orlando game, man. He had 6 points, 2 boards, 3 of 3 from the field, and was just being the player that he's been all season long so far, and that's been an efficient, around the rim, deterrent. He's been really, really good here as he's assumed the role of starting center for Boston, averaging 9.3 points, averaging 8 boards a game. He's going out there and rejecting at least a shot and a half a night, and like I said, he's super efficient around the rim as well as a lob threat and all these offensive rebound putbacks. He's just been active, and that's been awesome to see for a guy who didn't get a ton of burn in the early couple of years of his NBA career. Now he's seeing the opportunity like a couple other Celtics are, and he is making the most of it. And it's crazy when you look beyond just the counting numbers for Neemias Queta. The impact that he is making on the basketball court is unreal. Look at the NBA plus-minus leaders for teams not above 500, because that's the criteria and the corner cutting that we're doing here. But Neemias Queta is number 1 in the league, and it's by a wide margin. So I don't think it's that crazy of a cherry-pick stat here that Neemias Queta is having an impact when he's on the floor versus off the floor. And it's specifically coming on the defensive end most frequently. I mean, look at this. Crazy nerd stats. I know there's a lot of numbers flying around that not a lot of people know the definitions of. But Neemias Queta is number 1 in all of the NBA in defensive effective plus-minus. That's unreal. It's just the overall defensive impact as far as when he's on the basketball court. That's insane. And it translates to the rest of the team and their success. I mean, shout out to Sean Grant for putting these stats out there. Your Sunday Queta update. Celtics opponents with Queta on the floor score 1.002 points per possession. And that's a really, really good defensive rating there of 100.2 for Queta. They shoot it at a 40.8% clip. Pretty inefficient for the most part. 33% from 3. Yeah, still pretty inefficient there. And then when Queta is off the floor, oh my goodness, it is a 120 defensive rating. 1.2 points per possession. 47% from the field. Above league average, 37.9% from 3. In other words, he's saying that the Celtics are the best defense in the league with Neemias Queta on the floor, and then when he's not on the floor, they are the 27th best. Okay, something's got to give there. And Joe Mazzulla is a coach who, as far as when his guys are outperforming expectations, he is going to recognize that. And here's what he had to say about Neemias Queta and the whole Celtics defense as a whole. He said, I think our defense is pretty good in general, but I think he's also really improved, especially in his rim protection and pick and roll defense. He's really grown in that area. So it's going to be pretty rough of a go of it without Neemias Queta in this lineup. Now, I don't think there's cause for too much long-term concern here. Queta has had a couple of injuries in his career where he's missed a couple of weeks for a knee, for a foot, but has never had any ankle injury history in his career. So not something that we have to worry about being super chronic at this point. Hopefully it's only a couple of missed games for Queta here. Now, the issue with Queta missing games is we know the Celtics coming into this season already did not have one of the better front courts in all of basketball. Well, Queta's been far and away the best guy you could play down at the 5 spot, and if you lose him, things are looking pretty bleak as far as guys standing above 6'8". Luka Garza is a player that I'm not super comfortable with playing 30-plus minutes a night. I mean, Josh Minott's only getting about 20 right now, and his minutes might need to go up. Xavier Tillman's played sparingly. Chris Boucher had only played in 7 out of the 16 possible games for Boston so far this year. So, I mean, we're not looking at the most talented group of players at the 4 and 5 in the league. Now, the Celtics did call upon Chris Boucher to replace Neemias Queta there in that first quarter. And to be honest with you, he didn't really do all that much. Didn't make a crazy impact. Didn't necessarily do much wrong either, but only ended up playing, I think it was either 11 or 16 minutes in that game against Orlando. And we'll see how much the Celtics decide to deploy him with Queta on the sidelines here. Kind of disappointed with the start of Chris Boucher's Celtics tenure. I thought he would be more of an impact player than we've seen so far. Now, another thing that Celtics fans got to be a little bit prepared for with Queta being out here is the rebounding struggles. We came into this season, like with the bad front court, as a bad rebounding basketball team. Well, Queta has shored up a lot of that. Without him, it's going to be even more difficult. The Orlando Magic had 18 offensive rebounds in that game on Sunday. And lucky the Celtics were able to shoot their way out of that game and score 140 points, but expect their defensive rebounding woes to reopen, to reveal themselves once again here, and the Celtics to struggle to secure possessions without Queta on the court, because not only are the bigs that they have behind him not that good, but they're probably going to have to roll with a bunch of small ball lineups here in the absence of Neemias. With that being said, I got to ask you guys, out of the players that we talked about, who do you trust the most to take Neemias Queta's minutes, to replace most of what Queta is doing at this point? Who do you trust the most? Who's your guy? Let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. I'm not going to lie to you guys. My answer, it might shock a couple of you guys, but it's a little unconventional. But I think it's probably going to work the best here. And I'm going to go with Josh Minott. Like I said, I don't trust Luka Garza much. Xavier Tillman, Boucher, it clearly doesn't seem like Joe Mazzulla trusts either of those two guys all too much. So how about we just lean fully into the chaotic nature of the Boston Celtics, the small ball, the fast, the quick-paced offense and defense, and go with Josh Minott, an absolute energy bringer. Now, we'll talk about why I made this decision in just a moment, but first, I got to tell you guys about our sponsor and our friends on today's video, and that is, of course, our friends over at Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. It's the holiday season, the best time of year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there is one place where it feels good to be right: Prize Picks. Take it from me, I've been a customer longer than they've even been a sponsor here at Chat Sports, because it's the best daily fantasy sports app in the game. Of all the sports and markets that Prize Picks offers, I think it's super cool that you can make picks of like fantasy score, free throws made, field goals attempted, or turnovers even. I know a couple of players who really stack up their free throws, like a Jaylen Brown or Anthony Simons and players like that. And Prize Picks offers the best features as well, like stacks, where you take multiple stat projections in the same lineup and put it in with the same player. Like if you want a Christian McCaffrey on Monday Night Football to have receiving yards, rushing yards, targets like this, you can combine all those picks in the same lineup. Here is my lineup for Monday Night Football. I do have Christian McCaffrey more than 7 targets, and Tedero McMillan more than 66.5 receiving yards. You can tail my picks or fade them. Just do it at Prize Picks, which also offers a new feature, the early payout. Yes, if your Prize Picks is looking good, but you're not feeling the best about it going all the way through, you can slide over and get an early payout. Yes, it's the best at Prize Picks. So download that app today, and new users can get $50 in lineups instantly after they play their first $5. Just got to use our promo code CLNS. So download the app today. Use that code CLNS for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. With Josh Minott, you're going to be playing a lot of small ball. 6'8" center. I know it's not going to look pretty a lot of the times. You're going to be outmatched down low in some certain instances, and it's probably not going to work against all the matchups, specifically against a team like the Orlando Magic that you got lucky against, shooting really, really efficiently. That's a big team out there, and they were missing Paolo Banchero and a couple other big guys down there. So, you didn't even get the worst of what the Orlando Magic had for you. But I think that with Josh Minott kind of running that small ball 5, the Celtics can kind of fully lean into the identity that they wanted to come into the season with back when we were talking during training camp and all that stuff. Listen to what Mazzulla said about having Josh Minott involved and what that means when the Celtics are running small and all that good stuff. He said, yeah, always advantages, disadvantages. The advantages, the speed that we can play with on the offensive end, the dribble drive, the pace that we can create defensively. We can pressure a little bit more. Obviously, disadvantages, but, you play. I think you play faster. So you're just managing the sub patterns because I think, obviously exert more energy. So basically what Joe Mazzulla is kind of saying here is that with this Neemias Queta injury, they're a little bit slower with him on the floor. Now that he's not there, it's run and gun. You got to run and shoot these teams out of the gym. You're not going to be the best defensive version of yourself, by a good margin. We just saw before with Neemias Queta, the Celtics are a top defense. Without him, they're a bottom defense. So you got to really just lean into the offensive identity of the Boston Celtics here. Now, there are always two sides to that. There's always two sides to chaos. There's naturally going to be more turnovers, just more frantic nature of them playing out there. And I think, especially defensively, even though you might be a little bit more switchable, a little bit more athletic on the defensive end, that it could get really out of whack, and the Celtics could be caught late in rotations and stuff like that. So that's just all stuff that we have to watch out for here with Neemias Queta on the shelf. But as far as leaning into the offensive identity, how about we lean into Anthony Simons a little bit more here? He just came off of a game where he had 22 points. He shot it really efficiently. He was running and gunning, and That's just kind of how the Celtics have to play ball if they're not going to have their big ball stopper down low, Neemias Queta. Like you got to go with a guy like Simons who can just fill it up offensively. And not only do you have to, go with a guy like Anthony Simons to try to win basketball games right now, like you got to also go with a guy like Anthony Simons to try to build his trade value back up as well if the Celtics want to make a deal and get anything back for him when that comes around. Now, Jaylen Brown, if the Celtics want to, win games during this stretch, like he's got to keep playing like an MVP as well. And that's what he's done so far this season. He's been one of the better offensive players, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know if I expected this great of an offensive output this early in the season. So far, he's averaging 28 points per game. He's like nearly a top 10 scorer in the league so far, and like there's 6 guys averaging 30 plus. It's actually ridiculous. Now he is stacking up turnovers. The assist to turnover ratio isn't great, but he's going out there and rebounding the ball. He's shooting the ball really efficiently as well. The mid-range assassin. He's shooting like 55% on mid-range shots, and he's taking the most in all of basketball right now. So he has to continue playing like an MVP. The Celtics got to go and lean into Anthony Simons, lean into Josh Minott, and that hectic nature because the schedule coming up is not easy. Like you're playing the Eastern Conference's number 1 seed right now in the Detroit Pistons. I'm sure Neemias Queta will be out for that. I'm sure he'll be out against Rudy Gobert and the Minnesota Timberwolves on the 29th. He'll probably be out against the Twin Towers of Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen against the Cavaliers. And then you play the Knicks on December 2nd. Like, how long are we thinking Neemias Queta might be out for once these 4 games are up? I mean, the Wizards, you should win that game. The Lakers, though, they're playing their best basketball right now. The Raptors are playing as good as anybody in the Eastern Conference right now. They're the 2nd seed right now. And then after that, you don't even know who you're playing due to the whole NBA Cup standings shaking all out. But this is a tough road ahead for the next couple of weeks here for Boston. If Neemias Queta is not out there, they could be in trouble. With that being said, predict the record for me over the next 7 games for your Boston Celtics. The ones we just showed up, popped up on the screen. What's the record going to be? 6-1? I mean, that would be crazy. 4-3? Are they going under 500 over this stretch? You guys let me know down in the comments section, as that will do it for today's show. Give me a follow over on Twitter because we'll keep talking Celtics all season long at Tyler J. Smith. 2 H's because the name's common, but I am not. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. YouTube.com/CelticsTV for the latest and greatest on your C's all season. We'll see you guys in the next video. And as always, let's go C's.